Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Fight fans worldwide, you've tuned into the number one undisputed boxing podcast today. This is the Boxing Breakdown. Now, your heavy-handed, hard-hitting host, Mark Roxey.
Yes. What's up? And I am your host, Mark Roxey, and you are listening to the Boxing Breakdown. What's up, people? I am super happy to be here again. Another day. You could say another dollar, but man, I'm just happy to be alive. And looking forward to this COVID-19 thing to just kind of go away, man. Go away. So we can get back to boxing, man. Boxing is heating up. These people in the boxing world are resourceful, man. They're creating all kinds of opportunities. From a couple of weeks ago, I was out in Las Vegas at the Top Rank MGM Grand, The Bubble. And to watch these people work and see what they're up to, man, and just watch how they run their show, man, in the bubble with all the COVID-19 tests and the stuff that the fighters and the team have to go through. Just really incredible. But man, there's a lot of people out there doing a lot of resourceful things here in the boxing world as we try to emerge ourselves back to the sport the way it was in January of 2020, man. It's been a long 7 or 8 months here. And, but we are alive and doing what we're doing. And so, without further ado, man, I want to get right into what we're doing this week, man. It's special. I got my boy, Thomas Corn Flake Lamanna on the program. He's going to be joining us in just a second. And I just wanted you to know that this guy is New Jersey's best. He's part of the New Jersey, New Jersey's finest boxers. And he is on a campaign in the super welterweight division. He's an orthodox fighter, and he's roughly 6'2" tall. So he's a long super welterweight. And he's a pretty amazing fighter, and he's also into all kinds of other stuff, man. He's into promotion. He does a lot of promotion with his company called Rising Star Promotions, who's doing promotions in the tri-state area, but also promoting over in Mexico, man, in Sinaloa, Mexico, and doing some really great stuff. And so we're going to get into conversations with him about his upcoming, or actually, his recent fight against Mendoza, and he's got a lot to say about it. It was a very controversial fight, and really, I got a chance to watch the fight. And watching the fight, I scored the fight in a way that judges score the fight, and I had Thomas winning the fight. And of course, it's another story of fighters being robbed and, not really getting their just. And sometimes it's really pretty tragic, and it derails a fighter's career. And it's unfortunate. But this guy, Thomas Lamanna, the man, Cornflake, is not putting that in his way. He's not letting that stop him. He's on a mission, man. He's going to keep going forward. And the interview is awesome. It's going to be awesome. So without further ado, I would like to welcome into the studio Thomas Cornflake Lamanna. What's up? You there?
Yes, sir.
What's going on?
Nothing much, my brother. Nothing much. Sorry, I'm a little late. As soon as you messaged me, I was like, my finger was touching the green button. So
that's what's up. That's good, man. That's good. How was your day? Did you have a good day today?
won me some money, and
Uh,
it's a good day. Good day, I guess.
yeah. Well, what team were you betting on?
I had a parlay on the Eagles. Really, the Eagles screwed me. The Eagles screwed me
Yeah.
on my parlay with that. I had won. I would have came up really nice. But it was a tie, so whatever. But the coach just cemented it for me. A couple other teams early in the day. I don't even remember what, but it was a good day. Good day. I got smashed yesterday with the fight, so I had to recoup.
Yeah. What did you think of the fights yesterday?
So I didn't watch the MMA. I just betted on it, but the boxing, obviously, man, great fight, bro. Great fight.
Tell me what you watched, and tell the boxing breakdown fans what you watched and how what fights you thought were the best of the night. They're talking about the Showtime card, right?
Yep. So, the Charlo Rosario fight was a little bit better than what I thought it would be. Rosario was game, man. He was really, really game.
Right.
He did a lot better than I thought he would. A lot of people keep talking about how Jamal, the 160 pounder,
Yep.
I hope that's the right name.
That's it. You got it right.
They talk about how he's the best out of the two men. From what I seen yesterday, Jamal, he showed he could make a proper adjustments. You know what I mean? He didn't outbox Devonchenko. I don't want to call it. I didn't want to say it was he didn't put on a master class, but
Right.
he won the fight by being smart, doing what he wanted, and showing like a little different arsenal.
Yeah.
Devonchenko, he is no slouch, man.
Nah,
He's no slouch.
that's a tank coming forward, man. He's a come forward fighter, for sure.
And Jamal, he showed heart. He showed the heart and courage that he weathered. So he was getting touched. He was getting touched. I don't want to say a lot because it really wasn't, but he was getting touched, and he overcame a little bit of adversity. Listen, man, he ain't never been in there with a guy like Devonchenko.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You go from when you go from Dennis Hogan, Brandon Adams to Devonchenko. It's like going from the minors to the majors. A little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's well said.
A little bit.
That's really, really well said because that was definitely a step up fight for him in every way, and lucky for him, he was able to pull that off. And
absolutely, and he looked good doing it too.
Yeah,
it's not like he just won or he it was a really good, entertaining fight. He earned it, and listen, man, he's really he's the WBC champion for a reason.
Yeah,
I think that he's really, really the champ for a reason. And now Jamel, man, he's so explosive, man. He's just explosive and strong. It's crazy. So I consider myself, I'm a nice size junior middleweight.
Right.
I'm 6'1". I got a big mass. I'm not my legs aren't the biggest, and my arms and I'm not the biggest, but I got good size. My presence is known when I'm in that ring. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I was so obviously we all hopefully remember I fought on when Rosario fought J-Rock. I was on that undercard, and I stood next to Rosario, and I'm not gonna say size him up, but obviously compared myself to him, and man, he's a big dude. He's not small.
Yeah.
He's not a small guy at all, and that even showed with in the Julian fight. Man, you seen last night. Rosario looked like a little boy,
right?
Compared to Charlo,
Yeah, it's like David and Goliath.
Yeah, I'm like,
man, I know, and you're a big dude too, man. I mean, you're big.
Thank you.
You're 6'2", right? Let's just talk. This boxing breakdown isn't about the Charlo brothers, and it's not about the Showtime card, although we love that card. This is really about Thomas Corn Flake Lamanna and what you're up to, bro. I just really am thankful that you're here, and I'm super excited to just hear what you've been up to and stuff. And then just for the boxing breakdown fans out there, Thomas Lamanna is a super welterweight, and I believe you're ranked 147 in the world and 38 in the United States. Is that correct?
BoxRec.
Yeah, according to BoxRec, right. Which is
something like that.
Yeah, something like that, which is good, man. I mean, that's what's up. And you are also, I believe, the Silver Latin American champion, right? WBC Silver Latin American champion. Is that still right?
Nah, I mean, I was, but I was at 47.
Oh,
that was at 147.
That was at 147?
Yep.
What? That's crazy.
147.
Damn.
Yep,
I mean,
so
you at 147 is like, 6'2" and 147. That's some trouble right there.
It was, I was. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say. I noticed that you like to fight on the inside. That's the thing that kind of really like took me back. It took me back a lot when I watch you fight, because you really like to be in the pocket.
Mark, it's not that I really like to be on the pocket. It's just like, so I'm obviously known for boxing. I'm a boxer first.
Right.
But like, I don't want to sit here and sound ignorant and say, it gets boring to me. Like, I get bored by outboxing people and just picking them apart and da. Because that sounds very, like ignorant. But
no, it sounds smart. To me, it sounds smart, bro.
Well, I don't want to sound cocky. I don't want. How's this? I don't want to sound cocky.
No, you know what? Listen, Thomas. What's so is what's so, bro. You are 6'2". You have incredible reach. You have great head movement. Your defense is super on point, and you're not afraid to get on the inside and mix it up with people. That's what's so, man. You can, however you want to contextualize it. The fact is that's what you do, and that's what you like to do. So. Winning from the outside with the long reach and everything. I mean, heck, why not? If you got it, flaunt it, Yeah,
no, sure. And then that's, trust me, now, especially coming off of my last experience, man, I'm not taking no unnecessary, routes, I should say, man. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know, bro. It's weird. It's really weird. I guess it's just every fighter. It's so, listen, it's so easy for a trainer or an outsider or there's somebody else that's not a fighter, or at least not the fighter. It's so easy for them to say,
yes.
Oh man, you should just box them, stay on the outside, stay off the ropes, all the common sense stuff. I mean, it's so easy.
Yeah.
It's almost as easy. It's almost as easy as any. There's a good saying, and please, this isn't directed towards nobody, but it's a big problem in boxing where it was a big saying from my father. Was one of the first sayings he taught me. And it's very, very similar to, what I just said, where it's so easy of people saying that you should do this and should do that.
Right.
It was almost as simple as any jerk off with $5 or $25 could become a manager or a trainer.
Exactly. No, you know what
I mean? So it's almost.
Yeah, and I respect that. Well, not only do I respect that, but people who have never been in the ring see things in a certain way. There's nuances and there's things about the fight that have to happen. There's game plans and things that most fans don't know about. So I love the fact that you're even talking about that. It's easy. What a great position is it to be a fan or even be a coach, and be sitting out there going, hey, no, that's wrong. You should have done this, or you should have done that, or you should have done this. But like you're stating, the work is done in the gym. The training's done in the gym. the best fights happen with very little things being said in the corner. So, it's easy to quarterback it, on the sidelines and say, you should have done this and you should have done that. And I get it. And I also get your spirit for fighting, which is so entertaining. Particularly we're talking right now, for those of you listening in, I'm really speaking about the fight that you had with Mendoza, the last fight that you just had. And I wonder if you could just talk us through your fight style for that particular fight and what it was like to be in the ring with Mendoza. How did that work out for you? Just take us through that.
Well, one, how's your rating on your podcast with language and cursing and all that?
No,
you want to keep it PG?
I can listen. Whatever you want to do, I like it if it's PG because we get more listeners. But I definitely want you, Thomas. I want you to be yourself and be authentic, bro. I'm just delighted to be able to have a candid conversation with you. I want this to be something that you can be proud of, something that you can share out there with your fans. You got a lot of fans, and people want to listen in on where you are. And there's nothing better than for people to really hear you talk them through the fight and say, yo, this is what was up. This is what happened,
Okay. All right. I don't want to sound like a broken record, I only, but it's crazy. Not that it's a big deal, whatever, but I've only done literally, one press release about, my last fight.
Right.
And only really did one interview, post-fight interview.
Yeah.
About my last fight. But I got, bro, really, really bad. Okay. There's a problem with boxing. I took it on the chin.
Yeah.
Nothing I can really do, whatever. But the kid didn't beat me.
Right.
I mean, I don't. The kid didn't. He did not win the fight. It wasn't. It was a very good competitive fight, and the kid put a really valid effort into the fight. It wasn't. I don't want to sit here and say it was one-sided. Because that's very, because I don't want to discredit him.
Right, of course.
But for people to really think otherwise of me, and I'm just going all balls to the walls.
Yeah.
I'm just where you can't touch me. 6 rounds to 4. It really isn't like a debate in my favor, obviously. And a lot of people have arguments, and I'm talking to some top-notch people in the business with a ton of experience and knowledge and, and all that, or where they can argue 7-3.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
In my favor. I think the real problem, Mark, is this. It's not, listen, it was a really good fight. And people, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody judges fights different. Everybody looks at fights different. So, I can't do that and really argue with somebody. I can argue till I'm blue in the face. I was in the ring. You know what I mean? I could do that.
That's what's up.
But, what really, really hurt me and what hurt the sport and what put a black eye on the sport is the fact of the poor judging in the fight. For 2 judges with a wealth of experience in the game to score 8 out of the 10 rounds for that kid, for Brian, I don't want to call him a kid, I don't want to disrespect, for Brian Mendoza should be banned from boxing.
Right.
One judge had it. He had it the most efficient where, people are still going to argue him winning 6 rounds to 4. People will argue that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everybody will argue that, actually. Everybody will argue that. A majority. I won't say everybody because, some people thought Mendoza won as well for whatever reason. But for them judges, all 3 of the judges, to see that boy winning, to see that man winning.
Right.
And take the future, I had a really, really good, sweet deal. One thing I will say, Mark, is PBC, man, they really, really they're awesome, bro.
Yes.
They really, I don't care what nobody's heard bad about them, and people talk about Al Heyman and this, that, the third. Man, look, PBC, has done, and Louis DeCubas, man. Shout out to my man Louis DeCubas, bro.
That's right.
Louis
That's what's
DeCubas
up.
Jr., man.
Yep.
He, just they live up to their word. They took care of me. They gave me an opportunity of a lifetime. It's not it's not common where you see a fighter get, I got stopped. I got beat up and stopped in January by Jorge Cota, man. And I thought I was done, bro. I was just like, man, I'm never gonna get a opportunity again, bro. So but man, Louis, I'll never forget. Louis told me I was walking to the locker room after my fight, straight out the ring, and he told me, he said, "Listen, I'm gonna get you another fight. Don't worry about it. Heal up, rest up. I'm gonna get you another fight. We'll be in touch."
Wow,
man, I lied to you not, bro. I was working with just like a day thing. Helping my my fiance's brother out at Goya.
Right.
Man, Louis hit me up and offered me this, man. I damn near fell into tears, bro, because whatever. But
yeah, that's what's up. I mean,
the point of them three what I'm trying to say is, the point of them three judges taking something away from me, that I had something very sweet lined up. I had something really, really sweet lined up for after the fight with Mendoza, with a win. I don't want to say what it was, because the person, I actually know the guy, and we're actually we're not like best of friends or close, but that's my boy. It's my homie.
Right.
I want to put it out there, or whatever. So. Because it actually still might happen, thank God. But as of right now, it's not happening, and I'm in the shithole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
While this kid Brian Mendoza is riding the wave off of a fight that even he knows he didn't win.
Well, I will tell you. I will tell
you.
You landed more punches. You landed 189 to his 171, and you threw 704.
But that just goes to show you how close the fight.
Yeah.
I don't want to say close, but it was very competitive. A very, very competitive fight. You know what I mean? And the wrong guy won. The wrong guy won, man.
Well, I had a chance to watch the fight ahead of us chatting, and I agree with you. I think that you did win the fight, and 6-4, 7-3 is probably exactly what it should have been, and to you, and going to the Lamanna corner, and I just. This is something that happens over and over in boxing, as we both know, right? And a lot of times the decisions go to the wrong fighters, and I do think that this is something that really needs to be rectified in a sport, because we lose a lot of fans, we lose a lot of talented fighters, and it's just not good for the sport. And one day, someone will come along and clean this thing up and make it competitive, and it's just even the whole thing with fighters' records, man. I mean, if you go back into I was just talking about this with Glenn, the Road Warrior Johnson, on my last episode of the Boxing Breakdown, and we were talking about records, man. And his record, I believe, I might get it wrong here, but it was 54-21 with 2 draws. And the guy fought everybody, man. And he did very well for himself. He kept fighting. And you should check out that podcast, because I think it would be really good inspiration for you. Basically on the heel of this Mendoza fight, because I agree with you, man. You won that fight. And I mean, if you're scoring it, if you're judging and you're scoring the fight, you come out with the victory. Plus, I don't know if people remember or recognize that in the 3rd round of that fight, you had him hurt toward the end of the round, bro. You had him really, really hurt badly.
Yeah. And you want to know the worst part about that?
What?
You want to know the crazy part?
Tell me.
Is one of them? Man, listen, I still got to keep my image proper. I mean, I do consider myself a public figure in some sort of fashion.
Yeah, for sure.
In some sort of fashion. So I don't want to, go all out. But that, one of the judges actually did not score that round for me.
Oh.
When I had him hurt.
Well,
where the other 2 judges did. And it was very, 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 very disturbing that one of them judges didn't give, because it's not even like Mendoza was winning that round period without getting hurt.
Right.
You know what I mean, like it was like one of them. You want to know what? It was kind of like, I'll tell you what it was. So in the second round, which was a round that was very close, but I thought I was winning. I was controlling. He was more like, he wasn't really doing nothing. He wasn't like, he was just really there for like showman. Like he was all big and shit with all that muscles and all that shit. He just wasn't really doing nothing.
Right.
But in the second round, as soon as the bell rang, so it was like maybe a second left in the round, he caught me with a good right hand. Boom. Caught me.
Right.
I wasn't rocked. I'll be the first to tell you. Listen, man, because one time he hit me with a body shot in like the 9th round, and I still feel that shit. But
yeah.
But like, so I'll be honest. He caught me with the right hand. I looked really good. It wasn't effective, but I looked really good, which stole the round. I'm gonna say it stole him the round, because like the second round was like, it was competitive, but like had he not caught me with the shot, I won that round easy, because he wasn't really doing nothing, and I won the round just based off of like letting my hands go.
Right.
We didn't really land anything clean or nothing in the second round, but like he wasn't doing shit. I was letting all the hands go and shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of in the third. Now in the third round, here we go. Good third round, but like you understand, like from the second, because the first round was a good round, I thought I won, but like from the second round on, even though I gave him the second round, right, I was starting to pick up my momentum. I was starting to feel myself. I was starting to get my own rhythm.
Yes.
He was like clueless. He was like a 10th grader, and they taking a senior high, a senior
exam,
a 12th grade exam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like he just didn't know what the hell to do.
Yeah, he looked like he didn't have the answers. He looked like
And then so with the third round, boom, good round. Like I'm picking up the pace and I'm outworking them, and then I heard him in the second round. The third round. Had him on wobble shit.
Yeah.
And then, man, listen, truthfully, from the third, including that round, the third to the seventh, from the third round to the seventh, man, you can't give that kid a prayer.
Yeah.
In any of them rounds.
I agree.
Any other rounds, like eighth, like the 8th round, he started doing good. He started, whatever. 9th and 10th round, he did very well. I got cut in the 9th round, so it kind of screwed me up a little bit.
Right.
I'll just be 100% honest. Like, it really, really screwed me up. Because in all my fights, I've never been cut. God forbid, or thank God.
Right.
But this is the first time. But like if you look at it like that, man, it's 6-4, just on that, and that's with me giving him the 8th round. And maybe the 10th round, because this is another close round and stuff. It's just like in boxing, man, you score fights by rounds. You know what I mean?
Right.
You score the fight, like it's not like
you score each round, and you're not supposed to carry forward the round of the previous round. For those of you listening, one of the main scoring criteria is that the judges really have to be impartial, and they have to score the round as the round is seen, and not carry forward what happened in the last round in the scoring. It doesn't weigh into the factor of the scoring of the round that you're coming into. So sometimes, sometimes there are certainly judges that are not well trained or not well schooled, and they don't always get that memo. What you're saying is so important. And as he describes the way the fight played itself out, it makes a lot of sense that if you looked at it round for round, you'd come up with the correct score if you know what you're looking at. And and that's and again, that's just me shooting regular numbers out. Right there, I shot out 6-4 when I could easily
argue, the 7-3 stuff. But you want to know what, Mark? At the end of the day, I'm a big believer in faith. You know what I mean? My daughter's
Amen.
nickname is I'm sorry, not her nickname. It's crazy. Her middle name is Faith, Brooklyn Faith. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm a huge believer in faith. You know what I mean? So, and I know God got me, man. It's like,
Yep, he's got you.
it
That's for
might not have been my time. It might not have been my time. You know what I mean? But the world seen it and the world know it.
Yeah.
The one press release I did do it. I believe the guy. Oh my God, guy. I'm sorry. It was a girl. A little intern that she does the stuff for Rising Star. The promotional company. Obviously, I have.
Yeah.
She did it, and I believe she titled it "The World Knows I Won." You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I want to talk to you.
I'm gonna take that out.
I want to talk to you about your promotional company in just a second, but I did have a question for you. How did that headbutt? Was it a headbutt that caused the cut in the ninth round?
Nope. It was a punch. It was a punch.
It was a punch.
I remember it clear as day.
What punch was it?
Clear as day. It was a left hook. Jesus is what it was.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, because I went back and looked at the film and tried to see if it was there was a couple of times where you were close up and you guys clashed heads a couple of times, but it really was a left hook punch. Got it.
Sure.
Yeah. So
listen, Mark, the kid could fight.
Yeah.
I don't want to discredit Brian Mendoza.
No,
he
bro.
could fight. He was signed with Top Rank. He was signed with Top Rank.
Right.
He suffered a lesson. I don't call loss. I don't like calling losses. Obviously,
right.
He suffered a lesson. I'm big in L for lessons. Suffered a lesson, and came back, and fuck. I mean,
I like that.
I hate to admit it, but
yeah,
I hate to admit it, but he came back and beat me, a world-rated contender. Despite what 99% of the boxing world thinks he did.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just keep, we're gonna take that and run with it. So the kid could fight.
Yeah.
Listen, the kid could fight. He got skills. I don't know. Listen, he at the top level. Forget about it. I don't think he has a prayer at the top level.
Yes.
But that's only me. Maybe it's saying something about myself. Then do I have? You know what I mean? But
right.
I guess we
well.
Hopefully we'll find out.
Well, you'll keep growing for sure. Your jersey among New Jersey's finest. And you will continue to grow, and you'll continue to get better, and you'll continue to do big things in and outside of the boxing ring. I know that for sure. So I have no doubt about that. And so I did want to talk to you a little bit about, let's discuss your Rising Star Promotions. I understand that you do, I know that you do promoting in and out of New Jersey, PA, and in the tri-state area, but you also do some promoting outside of the country. Is that true?
Yep.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, man. Agua Prieta, Mexico, Sonora, Mexico. It's a different. I can tell you, it's definitely different. And especially with COVID, with all the COVID stuff going on, keeping us out of, and not only us, but all the rest of the tri-state promoters, keeping us out of business here in the area.
Right.
I have to, make up. Listen, I have to find a way. You always find a way. You know what I mean? It's kind of like in the ring. Just crazy. Real quick, I want to touch on something real quick before I continue with the Rising Star.
Yeah.
Make an adjustment in the ring when we were talking about how everybody, I should be boxing my opponents and staying on the outside and doing what I'm doing. But, at the end of the day, man, it's just an adjustment that is made on a drop of a dime when you're in that fight.
Oh, yeah.
That nobody could teach you, nobody could show you, nobody should be able to I want to say critique, not critique, but say you're doing it wrong. They can't, help me out, Mark. What's the word for, they can't,
sideline.
They can't say I'm doing.
Yeah. So
exactly.
let me
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Let me just put some color to this. What it is that for y'all listening out there, as a trainer, the one thing that I know, and Thomas, I want you to hear this. I know that in the end of the day, you do your training. You train in the gym, you prepare for the fight. When you get to the fight, the fighter has to make the reads. The fighter's the one who has to see what's happening and the adjustments that the fighter needs to make. Sometimes in a fight, there'll be 5 or 6, sometimes even 10 adjustments in a 12-round fight. The naked eye and the average, the casual fan isn't going to be able to pick up on what adjustments are made. And sometimes those adjustments are made offensively, and sometimes those adjustments are made defensively. And so, there's other color around that, but basically what you're saying, Thomas, I believe, is that the adjustment that you made, you needed to make that adjustment because of the style of the fight, and what was happening at the time. And you did it according to that. And it's very easy when folks are on the side saying, "Oh man, you should have done this or you should have done that," when in fact they don't have somebody trying to sling their head off in the ring, understanding what you have to do to make it work. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
You're a million percent right, because truthfully, Brian Mendoza, and again, every fight's different. Brian Mendoza cannot fight going backwards.
Right.
It's proven. You've seen I backed this nut ass back, all for 8.5 rounds.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So we were, very, very confident on that game plan and all that stuff. But regardless, getting back to Rising Star.
Whoa. Hold
Okay.
on for a second, because then we'll get to Rising Star. But would you consider a rematch with him? Is that something you wouldn't consider a rematch with him?
For what? So they can rob me again? Listen, I don't tell everybody, I don't tell people that I'm with PBC, because I'm not.
Right.
But I'm committed to PBC, if that makes sense. I'm committed to them.
Yep.
I'm committed to Louis DeCubas because, he's man, listen. and I can't even go without shouting out my man Sam Saliskowicz as well, because those are the two gentlemen that I've dealt with at PBC. They've given me the platform and the opportunities, and they've done nothing but live up to their word. And
yeah. Well, I think you did an amazing job in the fight, and personally, a rematch to avenge that, because you did, you arguably you won the fight, right? So, people could argue that for sure. But if you watch the fight and you score the fight, I think you beat him the first time. You probably beat him even worse the second time. And, I don't know where you go. I don't know. Where does a Thomas Lamanna go from here? Tell me where you're going to go from here, and then we'll get into your Rising Star, because that's big news too.
Yeah, no, for sure. I guess, history has it, where, you've seen what, go ahead with the Mayweather, I'll just go more recent. You look at the Mayweather, you know what I mean? You look at the Mayweather when he fought Jose Luis Castillo.
Right.
The first time.
Yep.
You've seen what happened. You've seen what happened in the rematch. You've seen what happened when he fought Marcus Madonna. He beat him both times. Beat them both times.
Yeah.
But
kind of.
The second times, but the second time it was like beating a stepchild. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So history always has the that. But truthfully, to answer your question, Mark, I don't really give a fuck about the kid. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Where I'm not going to waste my time and more energy giving him another, stage. You know what I mean? Look,
yeah.
God bless him. He let him go on and make some money and get a big fight. And I wish him the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know I have the right people behind me. I know, thank God, the right people, and I mean the right people, feel as though I won the fight. So, where do I go? Listen, talking about Rising Star, I do some shows out there. I actually done one a few weeks ago. I have 3 more scheduled to close out the year 2020. I know I'll be fighting on at least 2 of them.
Right.
I'm hoping, and don't be shocked if I can get on all 3 of them.
Yeah.
But I know I'll be on at least 2 of them to get me back, keep me moving. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sit around. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit around. I unfortunately lost my world rating because of the loss. So I want to get that back.
For sure.
And like I said, the right people, whether if it's PBC, whether if it's the rating commission, the rating sanctioning bodies, people feel I won the fight, and so I just have to play my role, do what I do in the politics thing, and the business side of boxing.
Right.
And God willing, I'm able to get back. And then when that time comes, then make sure I'm never put in this pickle again.
Yo, and the fact of the matter is not if you ever get back. The fact is that you will get back. If you stay at it and you stay doing, you stay on a disciplined approach, you definitely will get back there. And I have a feeling there's going to be some very, very big things out there for your fans and for you and for your Rising Star Promotions. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on for you in the future. So I'd hold my head up high. I mean, you have some respect on your name for sure. In that last performance, you have nothing to be ashamed of from that performance. And for all those naysayers out there that we were speaking about, maybe they should get in the ring and see what it's like. And then they'd have a little bit more respect for what you did, But I won't worry about those people for sure.
Yeah, no, I don't. One thing about it, Mark, like now, even when I'm in the gym, like every fight you learn something different.
Oh yeah.
Not only in the fight, but during your camp, during after the fight, when you just when you're not so like right now, I'm not in a training camp where I don't give a shit about nothing else other than my daughter and the fight. That's it.
There you go.
You know what I mean? I'm in my regular everyday life mode now where I care about everything.
Right.
I see things now that I'm like, you know what? Nah, hell no. I don't want this shit a part of my next camp. So I'm gonna make sure I dub this, replace it with that, dub this, replace it with that.
There you go.
For my next one, then my camp is gonna be even better. You know what I mean? So I'm in that stage. So it just teaches you so much, man, about yourself, man. It's just
and what works,
crazy.
And what works, right? There's certain things that work and there's certain things that don't. And sometimes things work for a while and then they don't work anymore. So taking stock in your camp and really, making the necessary adjustments for your camp, for your training, for the things that you want to achieve, and also for the opponents you want to face, how you want to move forward. I have a feeling you're going to be getting a lot of calls from a lot of people to take a lot of fights. And so that's why that adjustment in camp is so critical, Yeah.
Yeah. He, I think, I think calls will be coming in, but at the end of the day, people, and this will all follow into, flow into the Rising Star stuff. I know the business. You know what I mean? Because not only as a fighter, and I don't give a shit what nobody says. Can nobody tell me, you can't do both?
You're doing both.
I want to say something. I want to say something else, but man, face. I mean, don't tell me what I can and can't do. Nobody.
I got
I just do what exactly. So, so people, and I have the great privilege and the crazy honor of speaking at a young age as well, and still an active fighter. You know what I mean? Who I haven't. I reached top levels, but I haven't reached ultimate, supreme levels, world title challenges or world you know what I mean? I've knocked on the door.
Right.
I've been there, so I have a taste.
Right.
Inside and outside the ring. But I haven't been there yet. But
you're on your way. You're on your way there. That's,
I
am.
No,
it's a journey.
I'm definitely on the way. But I had the great honor and privilege to be dealing with, just a lot of top people. You know what I mean? So they know who I am, and they know I know my stuff. I don't think promoters or matchmakers will come, stupid at me with, poor offers, or try to put me in their mind over their head. I mean, I'm sorry, over my head and all that stuff, because
Right.
I'm just not with it. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't. And the best, you want to know what's crazy, Mark? Every bum ass booking agent and matchmaker. I don't want to say the matchmakers, like, the people who are on salaries, like your Brad Goodman and
right.
I'm sorry, Brad. Brad. I keep saying it. The Top Rank crew. I'm just gonna say
Yeah,
Top
Brad
Rank crew.
Goodman. Yeah, you got it right.
Or your Golden Boys, the Maximums, Eric Botcher, who, believe it or not, Eric Botcher is my second favorite person in boxing. I have a really good relationship with him. He's at Matchroom. Guys like that, I don't really consider them, but all the booking agents which by the way, I don't think they should be able to service in boxing without a license, because they're nothing but that. They don't do nothing but use fighters in a sense of legalized human trafficking, to be honest.
That's heavy.
It's pathetic and crazy.
Yeah,
It's pathetic and crazy.
Talk a little bit more about that for the Boxing Breakdown fans, because that's a really powerful thing that you're talking about, and probably I mean that's not something we've ever talked about on the Boxing Breakdown, but you definitely hit that. You hit that pretty good.
Well, thank you. And by the way, I just want for you to know, and for your listeners, this all has to do with my involvement with I guess you want to call it the business side of boxing,
right?
Which is really the dark side of boxing.
Yeah,
sure. My slogan is the dark places stuff, man. It's because I've really seen some foul shit in this boxing game.
Yeah.
I really have.
Oh yeah.
Experienced it. Fortunately, listen, you can ask anybody. My track record clean as shit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, nobody could tell me or somebody else that I fucked anybody in boxing. Never have, never will. I have a clean slate. I'm cool. But to answer your question, man, it's very bad, man. Like, promoters, like the big promoters, like the Top Ranks of the Zone, I'm sorry, right. Golden Boys, all that. They offer like packages. Like, so if they need a guy, the real money for a booking agent, like you got like the 6th and the 8th round fights for a booking agent. You know what I mean? Right. They might be able to come through with a 10-rounder here and there and get paid nicely, but their quantity and their quality and their volume is like in the 6th and 8 rounders. If you get a 4-rounder that last minute and they're paying $5, $6, $7 grand for a 4-rounder, that's good money because they're gonna rape the fighter anyway. So it's pretty good. So you offer an 8-round guy, on a top rank, a top rank 8-rounder against a 12, 13-0 kid, 14-0 kid. Your package is 10,000 or 12.5. By the time it gets down to the fighter, man, the kid's only looking at 8,500.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? By the time, you know what I mean? And then they take, okay, look, I'll get you this fight, but look, I only work on a small 5% or 10% consultancy. So now they're about to rip 8,500 off of this kid when they just stole, over 2,000.
Yeah, and you just hit something that a lot of people in the sport, on the periphery of the sport, don't really understand. That there's some serious conflict of interest there, some ethical issues there, and they do exist. And that's why you opened it up by saying you don't think that it should really be allowed. And I think that's without a license, it shouldn't be allowed.
Man.
Yeah.
No, it shouldn't. And I hate seeing people do that shit. I hate seeing people do that shit. I mean, I've seen it. You know what's crazy? It was so funny. I never name drop it. Never have, never will. I'm in the gym, right? So I still get, here and there, I'll get okay, look, I'll give you the perfect example. Okay. I had a fighter one time, right? He was signed with Rising Star. He's still one of my really good friends, just at the time our contract expired and I couldn't do nothing for him, and he went on his business.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
He went on his way. But we keep in touch. I just seen him in the gym yesterday. He, everything's great. He'll hit me up for advice. Ask me, what I think about X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of like a big brother thing.
Right.
He showed me, he hit me up for a fight offer that he got. It said one number. I said, you know what? And I asked him certain questions and basically, look, and I'm not saying I know it all, but I know enough I knew enough to answer his questions, accurately. And he told me everything. I told him, I think that's the right number. You know what I mean? You have more than enough time. Make sure it's for a belt, so make sure they don't take no sanctions out. And X, Y, Z. You're not paying for your own medicals, like whatever. All that. Make sure all that's in there. And which it was cool. Don't you know the next day, one of somebody else who has a he's maybe on an email list or he's on the email list and he got the same email for the fight. Don't you know that damn number was $4,000 less than what my man got offered?
Yeah, I know that because
that killed me. I'm like, you gotta be shit. So I put in my man's. I didn't even care at that point. Putting my man business out there, saying, "Bro, look at this.
Right.
Look what I'm showing you. We showing the exact same details, damn near the same message. Just that price tag is a little bit less on your side.
Yeah.
Because this jerk off who sent it to you is a piece of and just you know what I mean.
And they're taking money off the top. Yeah, they're taking money, repricing it out for less.
Yep.
Yeah, and you see that. I mean, I get tons of those emails all the time, man. And
which is illegal? Which is illegal, by the way?
Yeah, I know that. I know that.
Yep. Which is illegal, by the way.
So you're speaking. Explain to the fans what you mean when you say it's illegal. Explain that.
So if Top Rank, I'm just going to use very easy numbers. If Top Rank offers Rising Star Promotions a $10,000 package to provide the services of Jesus Christ, right, to fight St. Mary, okay, and I say, okay, well, in my promotional contract, it is I'm entitled to 25%, okay, and so it would be 7,500. Obviously, right. That's right. What the total thing would be. But my fighter's minimum on a 10-rounder or whatever round I said, an 8-round fight for 10,000. Let's just use that. But my fighter's minimum on an 8-rounder is 3,000. Okay. By law, legally, all they have to do is offer that fighter $3,000 for an 8-round fight.
Yes.
And I fulfill my obligation. Now, look, I can't offer him King Kong or Floyd Mayweather or Jesus Christ in this sense. But 3,000, you have an argument. You know what I mean? Because you're fulfilling your obligation.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
If I were to go as Rising Star to my fighter and say, hey, okay, I got an offer from Top Rank to fight St. Mary for $8,000, right? For 8,000, it's 8,000. I take my promoter's fee. I gotta take my. I'm entitled to 25. So it's what do you call it? Whatever 25% of 8,000 is. Boom. This is what you'll be getting. Now I could, maybe I can wheel a deal. I can go back and get 9, and we'll take it for 9. Yeah, I'll take it for 9. Okay, cool. Boom. They're skimming the 1,000, and then they're taking their fee off of the money that they already skimmed. They're double dipping.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they or them or people are doing that. I've seen it done before.
Oh no! It is being done. It is being done.
Yeah.
And to be clear for all the fighters out there that are listening to the program, because I know we have a lot of fighters that listen to the program. We try to provide a kind of service of information out there for the boxing fans, the casuals, the managers, the people who are in the sport to really hear what's going on and understand, right? So what you're saying is so powerful for the young fighters coming up to understand that, you get yourself with a good manager, you get yourself with a good promoter, you get yourself, if you're able to, and you make sure you put the right team around you. Otherwise you're going to
get screwed.
Yeah. If your friend, whoever you were speaking about, didn't have you, okay, no telling what would happen. And you're never going to know what the cost of that fight what they actually offered for that fight. You wouldn't know, because all you're going to do is get your
luckily, yeah. Yeah. So luckily, when it comes out, and then I really want to answer your question about the illegal part.
Yeah.
Luckily, the offer that the kid got was from the direct, like the matchmaker of the show. Like,
right, perfect.
There's no
middleman.
This isn't like a third party booker. Yeah, so like he fortunately
no
had the right one.
There's no trafficker.
Yeah. So he fortunately, he got lucky on that one, I guess.
Right.
But the illegal part, according to the Dali Act, is if I'm Rising Star and I'm paid a $10,000 package, okay, I have to. I'm not 100% of the time frame, because I've heard different stories, and I should be reading up on it, and I've read up on it from the situation between Chris Algieri and Joe DeGuardia when Algieri fought, I believe, Manny Pacquiao,
right,
or Pavandikov. I don't recall who. It was one of those two. Okay, it was one of those two. I'm sorry. I don't think I'm sorry. I believe it was a PBC fight. So it must have been like Earl Spence or something. One of those three fights. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it had to do with Chris Algieri and Joe DeGuardia. And because they're, he's the promoter, that's the fighter. Where the promoter has to provide the info. I believe it's up until the second the kid steps on the scale. As crazy as that sounds, I think that's what it is. But I'm not 100% sure. To provide, saying, okay, I got paid $10,000 to provide the service of you. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I guess the foul thing, like if it's me, look, Mark, I don't care too much, you know what I mean, to steal money from people. Like, I don't I'm a man. Listen, I'm guilty. I live off of conscience, and I'm not for that, and I wouldn't want it done to me. So if it's me, I'm showing the kid right there. Here's the email. This is what it is. You know what I mean?
It's called
I'm entitled to,
it's called complete transparency with your fighter and with the people that you represent. Yeah. That's why there are managers, and managers are not able to have a promotional interest, right? And that's why everything in the Ali Act is separated the way it is, so that things can be transparent for the fighter, and the manager is truly working in the best interest of the fighter. And unfortunately now I've even heard promoters and different folks in the business say there's no such thing as managers anymore. The managers don't, they don't really have much of a say in anything in boxing. And that's because by removing the manager, a quality, well-trained manager, what you do is you create less transparency and more of a culture of transition where you can almost do anything to that fighter. So that's why that exists the way it does. But managers and advisors, I would even just stick with the word manager, because there's some detail around manager-advisor relationships as well. And I would say that a good quality manager is just going to do everything to maximize the amount of money the fighter can make and be completely transparent with all of the fighter's business transactions. It's not your business transactions, it's the fighter's business transactions, and you work for the fighter. You don't work for yourself. You work for the fighter.
Right. So really quick, you made a really good point about something I want to touch on. But I also just want to reiterate, so for the people listening, I don't want them thinking I don't know what I'm talking about, because, I tend to sometimes rethink of what I just said, and I might not have said all the information in a proper way. Like, I know what I'm trying to say, but I might not have said it correctly. So here's the thing. if I get if I get an offer from Top Rank in the amount of $10,000, okay, hold on. If I got a promotional offer for the amount of $10,000 for my fighter, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't mention the package, and I just brought, and I know my fighter's minimum is $3,000 for an 8-rounder. But if I throw a $8,000 or a $7,500 price tag at him without even discussing nothing else,
Right.
if I just throw that out there to him, he's gonna jump, okay? And let's say he loves to fight and he jumps.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
I have to show him or provide him. Okay, let's just say it's less. I'm sorry. If it's more than, because most of the time these promoters take more than their contractual amount. Meaning, if I'm entitled to only 25% and I offer my fighter $7,000, $6,500, man, that's 30, 35% that I'm taking from the guy when my contract is 25%.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
that's
exactly.
where it's wrong.
Yeah.
And it's wrong where the promoter doesn't provide that
transparency.
Yeah, exactly. And it's even more worse when the fighter or even the manager, who sometimes is in bed with the promoter because they're whacking the money.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's you know what I'm saying?
Sad.
And so real quick, I want to touch on one more thing, and then like I gotta kind of put my daughter to bed.
Yeah.
But I want to touch on one more thing. You made a really good point. A manager and a promoter. And an advisor, right? I tried my own, and I don't want to say tried because I'm going to get back to it. But with the pandemic and then I finally got a fight offer, and I was in camp, and I just didn't really put no more time. So I had, I was doing my own little podcast on Zoom and talking boxing and shit. And I made a really it was like my favorite episode that only 5 people watched, but it was a really good one where it was about I want to see who the real managers are/were prior to COVID. Meaning, okay, boxers aren't, now some boxers obviously, you get your blue collars who go to work every day and then they go to the gym, they fight,
right.
They climb up the ranks. Cool, God bless them all. Because I was/am one. You know what I mean? One of them. That's But some fighters, okay, now you get some fighters who, make good money and, they have managers and but they just put all their, they don't work. They just focus on boxing, okay? But if they're making enough money or not, some people just focus on boxing because it's their dream. God bless them, right?
Right.
Now, going back earlier when I said any jerk off for $25 to become a manager. You know what I mean? Just by getting an application. It's unfortunate that they don't have to, go through an exam or, it's crazy how fighters have to go through annual, medical exams and all that, to compete. You know what I mean? But judges don't have to go through exams to get their license renewed. Anyway, don't get me started on that. Now managers, so they do that, right? Who are the real managers, right, that have the balls to take 25 or 33 and a third from let's just call it $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 purse for 4 to 6 round fighters? They have the balls to take that, but they don't. Let's just say, because that's not real money. That's not real money.
No.
You know what I mean? On taking it from a kid and all that. But who are the managers that took that third from $1,000 purse and put it in a damn penny stock, or put it in a mutual fund, or put it in some real estate portfolio, or put it in this, or put it in that over the span of a fighter was if they're taking a third from the kid's purse for, let's just call it 3 years, he has 10 fights and he's made $50,000 in those 10 fights. I'm using that as a number for whatever, however way. What's that? Fight at $15,000.
Right.
Listen, do you know how much $15,000 to a guy or to a boxer who can't receive unemployment, who doesn't have a job, who put the life on the fucking line to make other people's pockets fat.
Yeah.
You know what $15,000 could do not only to anybody, but to a kid that now has really nothing because no boxing is going on?
Yeah.
Who are the real managers that took care of their fighters?
That's right.
And made sure their fighters are set up for life after boxing.
Well, and
Mark, I have plenty of money people. You know, some sponsors of mine, some good friends of mine who just so happen to have money. They want to get behind me. They want, but they want a piece of me. They want percentages.
Right.
My question is, no problem. Cool. One, what could you do for me now? And more importantly, what the fuck could you do for me and my daughter after I'm done boxing?
No.
What could you do?
And you know what? You bring up a couple of really good points, and I know you got to put your daughter to bed, and we're going to end this amazing conversation with Thomas Lamanna. But I just wanted to say that you're absolutely right. What part of the obligation of a manager and a promoter and the team that's around the fighter is to protect the fighter, not just into the fight and during the fight, yep, and after the fight, yep, but it is also the team's obligation, including the management, including the promoter, including everyone who has a vested interest in that career of that fighter, to make sure that the fighter is well taken care of, so they know how to spend their money, they know how to save their money, they know how to file their taxes, they know how to invest their money so that they can have an amazing future at the end of the sport. And I just want to say one more thing, that some of these promoters and some of the sanctioning bodies should get together and create funds to support the fighters and also give them an opportunity to continue their education, so that they can make a proper career transition and develop other skills outside of boxing or that marry with boxing. So those are great points, man. Really amazing conversation with Thomas Lamanna. And I just want to thank you for being on the Boxing Breakdown and for spending this time with me and chopping it up and being honestly one of the most frank, straightforward conversations from a fighter who is not only actively in the rankings, working your way up to the big paydays and the big fights, but also actively involved in a successful promotional company. So thank you, man. And how can people find you? Where can we find you online? Give a shout out.
Yeah, man. So I'm Instagram at official Cornflake Boxing. On our page is at RSP Boxing. RSP for Rising Star Promotions Boxing. And on Facebook, just my name, Thomas Lamanna, or my fan page, Thomas Corn Flake Lamanna. Rising Star Promotions has a Facebook page as well. And excuse me, I have October 10th, October 30th, and as well as November 20th in Agua Prieta, Sonora, Mexico. It's going to be, this is fun. It's different. You know what I mean? We're following all safety protocols issued by the WBC and the president, Mauricio Suleiman, who has been nothing but a pleasure to deal with, and a pleasure, him and his whole staff, his whole WBC team, for, laying out the platform and just giving, laying out the red carpet and saying, listen, no problem. We love boxing. We love you. We want you to do shows in our country. Follow these guidelines. And it's very easy. A lot of work, but very easy. Right. I also want to give a huge shout out to Gilberto Mendoza at the WBA,
right,
who is sponsoring Rising Star Promotions with WBA is sponsoring Rising Star Promotions with COVID kits and for the fighters,
wow,
and the trainers. You know what I mean? Offering, COVID tests free of charge, and, the masks, the hand sanitizers, it's just like, I guess
right,
the cheat
the
sheet of
yeah,
keeping safe. Yeah. Just like some extra that they don't have to do. And, it's also awesome too, that it's the beginning of something, I think, in a way, where you see, more so rivals, kind of sort of rivals, but not really, competitors, again, not so, but, not really, but, kind of so, working with each other for the love of boxing.
Yeah.
For the love of boxing, even if it's on the club show level.
Yep.
Even if it's on the club show level, they're showing that they care. And so really, really huge shout out to all them. And my good brother Ricardo Rizzo for always, helping me out and setting those things up. And man, does everybody who I mentioned, that we talked about, even the fucked up promoters and the booking agents talk about. Shout out to them too, because boxing wouldn't be a corrupt sport without them, or a fucked up sport without them. So they're playing their part.
Right, they're playing their part. That's it. A cast of many characters in the Disneyland of boxing, man, for sure. Yeah. And I'm eternally grateful for you to come on. I'm going to be hopefully at your next fight, and we're going to stay in touch, of course, as we do. And you know where you can find me. Yeah. Every day. You know where you got my number, and you need something, you know to call me, right?
Absolutely, my brother. I appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you. This was fun.
All right,
man.
We should
do it again, for sure.
God bless you and your daughter and your family,
you too,
and I'll talk to you soon,
Thank
okay?
you as well.
All right, man.
Mark,
Peace.
I'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, and with that, my friends, that's going to wrap up another edition of the Boxing Breakdown, and I'm just really, really grateful that you are here with me, and that was a very powerful interview with Thomas Corn Flake, Lamanna, from the great state of New Jersey, an amazing fighter who began his career in 2011 and is still fighting. He's 33 bouts in, and his record is 28-4 with one draw. 10 of those wins came by way of big KO, and he's a super welterweight ranked. And it's just been a delight to have him on the program. And so with that, I want to wish you peace and love, acceptance and empowerment. Get out there, live your life. Until the next episode of the Boxing Breakdown, this is your host, Mark Roxey, and I'm out.
Fight fans, join host Mark Roxey and special guests as they break down all aspects of the boxing world, including news, business, management, training, promotions, fan reactions, upcoming events, matchups, future boxing stars, title fights, state of the boxing world, and all the stuff you don't see when you watch boxing. This podcast is released each week on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live streamed on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook Live. It's the Boxing Breakdown, hosted by Mark Roxey.